Dun, 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 dun.
To be honest, I wasn't anticipating anything for The Matrix for quite some time. We just had the trailer debut for The Matrix Resurrections, which, like I said, I think the trailers looked like a lot of fun. So the question remains, do we need another Matrix sequel? Or do we need to reboot it again? We'll see. But again, this is out of all the HBO Max release things right now, and yes, some of them have been established comic book properties, another big franchise maybe that they're trying to launch, but I don't think we've had one as legacy. Well, maybe I don't think the many sins of Newark would compare to Netflix in terms of not Netflix, The Matrix. Maybe an audience it might, but The Matrix is where are we at now? How many years ago did that release? It's a really old franchise, and we're getting it rebooted. So it kind of again does feel indeed like a bit of a legacy piece. Where the new one will go and the overall success, we will have to wait and see. But I think the first trailer did paint a very good future. Kind of confusing in some regards, but very interesting. And definitely, I would say, worthy of The Matrix as I remember it. But let's go ahead and take a look at this film legacy featurette. So this is obviously going to be, I'm sure, diving back into the long history of Matrix movies. Probably with not much new footage, if any. They might be saving that for another trailer. I would imagine there's another trailer coming out. I don't think they'd stop at one. Let's go ahead and take a look at the feature. I love to learn about the behind-the-scenes stuff. And with The Matrix, yeah, there is indeed a huge legacy with this feature. We're going to go ahead and watch the feature at first. I'll talk about it more in my condensed review segment. Fun us watching the video together. Okay, it's a really long featurette at over 4 minutes. Without further ado, here we go. They really want to get the anticipation rolling. Please remember this movie. Okay. I mean, the first Matrix was everybody I think is unanimous in saying that one is very good. Well, except for my mother. My mother hated it apparently. But the other two, they're not perfect, but they're fun. All right, here we go. But the first one released was staple. The Matrix concept.
That you were so sure was real.
So popular in just sci-fi, even in
what if you were
different aspects of our world today in terms of
how would you know the difference between the dream
references we make
and the real?
Buckle your seatbelt, Dorothy.
The whole red pill, blue pill
It's
analogy.
going bye-bye.
While we were making the first Matrix, I felt like that it's something beyond yourself. It's big.
The experience of making the movies was such a transformative time in my life. It was such an opportunity of a lifetime.
I remember leaving the movie theater knowing that things were just going to be different in my life.
Yeah. I would imagine. Again, I didn't see these very early, when I was a kid. It took me
how
years.
much it changed the world.
I'm excited to see Jessica Henwick, by the way.
Walked out of the theater and thought to myself, finally somebody gets me.
I watched it, went out, bought another ticket, and watched it again. Blew my mind, blew everybody else's mind.
See, this is what I've heard from all the people that did get to see it in the theaters at the time, or maybe saw it years before I did. But I did watch it much later on in life, so I've heard it from the perspective that, again, it's such a revered property.
And explosions everywhere.
And watching the films, I can certainly see why.
Bullet time.
Slow motion, man. That's the most iconic thing that I remember. Neo dodging the bullets.
I never thought dodge this was going to be a big deal. Dodge this. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing.
The ambition of its thought.
Try to realize the truth. There is no spoon.
I'm amazed at their point of view about reality and about the human brain.
It altered people's thoughts. What is real? What is reality?
Even in my own life, just looking around and being like, oh my God, I'm in the Matrix. I would literally
A lot of people are saying that today. I hear it thrown around so much now.
It's impossible to articulate.
Especially in the political space, I hear that quite a bit.
To our minds and culture.
Again, like I said,
remember not
the Matrix is such a big analogy for a lot of people.
The world of the Matrix.
What do you know you can't explain? But you feel it. The Matrix. Do you want to know what it is?
The Matrix as an idea has lasted 20 years. People use terminology like, are you going to take the red pill?
Yeah, see, I told you, it's
take
popular.
That blue pill, you're going to take the red.
Everything entered pop culture and stayed. We say a glitch in the Matrix, the fact that that's a part of the lexicon.
I feel like that's actually the name of a documentary, A Glitch in the Matrix.
A deja vu is usually a glitch in the Matrix.
It happens when they change something.
It's a smaller documentary, but it's actually very
this
interesting.
This is one of the few movies that has seeped its way into every kind of facet of popular culture.
I'll run into young people who've done college courses, all of the philosophies and ideas around the Matrix.
Like someone could easily open up like a college class for this, I wouldn't be surprised.
Has been created using numbers and digits, but it's actually about consciousness. It's actually about thought.
Billions of people just living out their lives.
The question is, after all of this, such cool action sequences. I mean, I really do enjoy it.
You'll hear the sentences.
Is this going to be
my life.
more installments coming after this one?
Sorry to say thank you. Changed mine too.
It's going to be, a lot of fun for me. I really do want to go to the theaters to watch this. As somebody who didn't grow up with, well, I mean, I grew up with The Matrix, but as somebody who didn't grow up in terms of actually being in the theater and watching this when I was a kid, it's, I had this experience like with Star Wars, for example, back when The Force Awakens came out. Even though I think, the sequel trilogy, at this point, we're all divided. But anyway, everybody's got their own opinion, including me. But, not to go on a rabbit trail with that, but I consider myself more of a moderate in the way I approach that. Because there's things I like, there's also some I don't. But for me, just the experience of being in the theater and realizing that, okay. To be technically correct, I did see the film, the Clone Wars animated movie when that was released in 2008 in theaters, although it's not like a live action Star Wars film. So, live action wise, The Force Awakens was my first experience, and for me, I was in a theater packed with just a huge number of people. Like, it was surreal for me. It's like being all these people that, I didn't grow up as a kid watching Star Wars films until I turned, I think 7 was when I first watched A New Hope. I don't know. But I wasn't in the theater at that time. Like when I wasn't alive then, but Revenge of the Sith, when that released, I wasn't in the theater. So for me, I never had that experience growing up as a kid. But when, Disney acquired that and started publishing all the movies, sitting in the theater listening to a whole bunch of Star Wars fans, screaming just in happiness and seeing some of the stuff on like Han Solo or Princess Leia walking up, it was such a surreal experience for me. I can only imagine what it's going to be like for The Matrix. I mean, because The Matrix has a huge number of fans. And yeah, as they put it, it's a huge cultural influence, especially within the sci-fi space. In particular, they also mentioned it, the saying, a glitch in the Matrix, not just, the red pill, blue pill analogy. I also said red pill, blood pill. Like, wouldn't that kind of be the same thing? Who would take a blood pill? Anyway, but that analogy is very popular, especially in the political world. I hear that thrown around quite a lot. But, a glitch in the Matrix, that phrase. That's actually the name of a documentary that I did check it out. It looked very interesting, but it was like really out there. It's kind of the idea of like life is a simulation, similar to what The Matrix is, but it's different in its own way. But that's like a flat out name, the title of the film. So yeah, it was a huge influence. It's cool to watch a featurette that go through again like how legendary this franchise is and really what it did in terms of our perceptions of reality in many ways. I mean, The Matrix is, I think it's actually, honestly, it's probably one of the most potent sci-fi ideas out there, to be honest with you. It really is. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, just even watching this trailer, I didn't even consider some of the magnitude of what I would think. Yeah, some of the analogies made and some of the evidence that they brought forward, of course, but just some of the things that they mentioned that you have to consider, yeah, The Matrix did influence that type of thinking. It's fascinating. It really is. I'm excited to watch this new film. I really want to watch it in theaters and, again, have that experience of being like, hey, I watched the Matrix movie in the theaters. Not exactly the same because it wasn't like the first 3 that released, but still, just the idea of it. It's fascinating. But what are your guys' thoughts of the Matrix Resurrections? I have to say, even with my doubt and skepticism over the first trailer and being like, do you need one? After the first couple of films, do we need another piece? I guess. Even though I said the trailers looked great, I'm still kind of like, well, we'll see where it goes. But watching that, I'm like, okay, I feel really good about it. We'll see the final result. But whatever your thoughts are, let me know down below. Don't forget all the good stuff, the like, subscribe, the sharing, the hit that bell. Until we get to watch more from The Matrix Resurrections in the future, I'm confident I'll probably get another trailer. I would not be surprised at all. I'd be surprised honestly if they didn't put one out. We'll see. But until we get to that point, thanks for watching this video. I love you guys. Love yourselves, your fellow man. God bless and peace.